This is towards the end of our medical training. I think it was a 4-week class or something like that. So we're in school for 4 weeks. On the desk, on the boats, tests, all the rest. And I think this is one of our final tests where we experience a casualty, like something blows up or we get shot at or rocketed, and we have to respond to that. So we're going out to the training area. Our trainers, they're in the back of the boats, and they're just telling us to go to a specific place. Now we have actors on the boat, and they're all juiced up with like blood bags so they can like squirt blood and stuff like that. We also have a bunch of fake like prosthetic broken bones and stuff like that. So you'll see all this in that video, in the video. So yeah, it looks a little bit gory, but it's all fake.
What do we got?
It's all plastic, it's all rubber, and yeah. So the reason why it looks good is we try to simulate what actually happens during one of these casualties, and it's not calm. So they try to elevate your anxiety levels. They put a lot of time on it, put time clocks on it, and I think they're going to put a time on us here to see how fast we can handle all of these problems, because when somebody's bleeding, time is of the utmost importance. So that's what we train for. So the anxiety level goes up a little bit. Mason, the boat driver's right next to me. We're having a constant communication. The same with the engineer. Engineer's looking at all the little dials and stuff like that. I'm not good at engineering. I don't know exactly what's all over there. But yeah, they're looking at the dials and relaying that information to the boat driver, and same with me. Hey, and I'm keeping them on course. Like right here, I'm maybe picking out something in the background, maybe a mountain or like a cloud or something. I'm saying, hey, see that? Aim there. And, I'll find something that's sort of on the same track. That's a quartermaster's job, is to keep us on one track. And, so anytime a boat goes out for an event like this, you have to brief the command, to tell the command basically why or what we're spending the money on, gas money, because that's a huge Cat diesel engine machine, and it guzzles gas like crazy. So the captain of the command needs to know if this is something this training is worthwhile or not, and it is totally. If you can get into like the most realistic situation you can out here, then it's just like swinging in the batting cage. You're gonna get a little bit better each time, There's a basic road. If you look on like a Furuno radar, there's a road in the water to where boats are supposed to kind of go towards, a hazardous less road. So there's nothing like boat wrecks underneath the water. It's all real deep, so a lot of boats could go there. So that's the imaginary road we're going on, and we're gonna find a spot probably off of that road to conduct our training, because we're gonna be at a standstill. So yeah, sort of. You're out on the boat, you're never really stopped. You're always moving some way or another, depending on the swells. Sometimes there's two swells, so there's a swell coming from one direction and the other, and the goal as a boat driver is to face the swell so you can go up and down regularly, and you start getting sick when the boat goes like this. So the boat driver will always kind of lean towards the swell so the rocking doesn't get too bad. But like I said, with the double swell, that's when you go up and you go around, and it's kind of miserable being out there. You'll get seasick eventually. If you're gonna be rocking and rolling using the GoPro, shoulder. You gotta get a mount specific to it though, like I don't know, because you have your kit on, so you need something that's going to strap onto that kit. They have little Velcro mounts that can do it. They work pretty well. But yeah, strap it onto the shoulder, not the head. And if you put a GoPro here, it gets bumped into a lot of times, but not too much your shoulder. You notice the close quarters here, so you're going to notice a lot with this stupid GoPro camera. There's a lot of interesting angles here. But I think Johnny's working the leg, and then Craig's working on the back guy. Hartman, this is his name. And Yaz.
I need a dressing right away, and we need to cut this
so Just trying to figure it all out. Trying not to step on him as well. So I'm applying a tourniquet here. And that's one of the things about medical training in the United States Navy is like, this stuff is valuable information. There's a case where a sailor saw an accident, had stopped by after the accident and then applied a tourniquet on some person, saved the person's life. Then the EMT came, or the ambulance came, and they took the tourniquet off, killed the dude. Regardless, that's kind of a macabre way to talk about it, but I mean, the knowledge that we have treating these wounds and stuff like that is high, because you see it. I mean, we're straight up trying to fix this dude. And there you see the prosthetic thing there. I'm ripping the pants open here. We use old uniforms. There's always some old uniforms laying around base. Each base has a little thrift shop too, which is a hidden gem. Go to those thrift shops if you're looking for like uniform items. Like maybe you spilled too much mustard on your pea coat or something. There's always a bunch of pea coats in there. Here we are. We're going at a nice, simple pace there. Not too fast. We're keeping moving. And that's the thing. It's not like you're going to stop. If you did get hit by a Houthi rocket, you're not going to stop in the water. You're going to have to go somewhere. But you don't want to be going somewhere to where you're like rocking all over the place, and because this person does not want to move and is hurting so much. You know, if they're hurting, they don't want to be moved around this shaking boat. So, yeah, that's a big part of it. It's kind of an overlooked part of it too. Having the skills to make a tourniquet out of something and then apply a tourniquet on somebody, or even like a sucking chest wound. I mean, hopefully you never encounter one of those, but you gotta stick a needle like in his rib cage or her rib cage to open up an airway, and it's gnarly, and it's like hard to do that. You know, your mind doesn't want to poke into people's skin or whatever, but it's something you gotta get over. And the Marines have a SARC, Search and Rescue Corpsman, and they do live tissue stuff. So they'll cut open a pig. The pig's obviously sedated, you know, completely sedated. It's not feeling pain. They cut open a pig. They have to apply pressure and stop bleeding, and you basically fix the pig. And yeah, that's got to be a sobering wake up for that pig. But regardless, yeah, they have to train. Unfortunately, you're seeing a lot of cross shots of Yaz. He is hurting, and you know, that GoPro camera is not showing. I'm working on his leg. You can see there, it's a little bit broken. It's broken up. And yeah, it's tying it off. We're using basic materials on the boat or whatever to tie stuff up. Tourniquet's actually pretty easy to apply without, you know, all you need is a little bit of cloth and something straight and sturdy, and you can tie somebody up. You know, it's got to be about 3 feet of cloth. And then there's Rowdy, our instructor, one of our instructors. Great man. And he was a SWCC guy, special warfare, combat crewman. And he was a SARC as well, so he knew everything about medical. He was their medical guy. So a SARC is a qualification. So I don't think he was a corpsman, because he was just straight up SWCC, but he had that he was their medic. And it's high level medic, man. They got to do a lot of like high speed extracts of injured people. And eventually you get over the blood and the guts of it. And I get pretty wheezy when I see blood, you know, that's not a joke. But through this, you get used to it. You play around with those stinking fake appendages so much that you kind of lose the nauseous feeling about seeing people bleeding or broken. It's more like clinical, fix it, how to fix it, that way. Alright, so we're trying to get him out. So, okay, you can see the guy got shot in the back of the boat, and we're trying to get him to the part of the boat with the most space. Part of the boat with the most space, so when a helicopter comes over, we can strap him up and they can pull him up out of there. And that's how it goes on the water. And it's just kind of interesting watching this. I didn't really plan this, but there's 2 missing Navy SEALs out there in the Gulf of Aden where we were. And the ocean is no joke. Like, you see those Navy SEALs swimming around in the ocean, and you think that they're real good swimmers, and they probably are. I mean, top level human swimmers. But when it comes down to having to swim in that ocean, in the middle of the ocean, it's hard, really hard to swim. It's very taxing. And so what we're taught to do is just, we link up to each other and create a floating circle. And we try to appear like as a big raft or a big fish or something like that. But I mean, it's not so easy just swimming to shore, you know, especially if you're out there like 100 miles. Good luck, man. And a lot of those roads between Iran and Yemen, those roads right there are off land by a lot, you know, quite a bit. So they're doing interdictory operations right there through that super highway of goods. A lot of goods trade from, you know, that part of the world to that part of the world. But unfortunately, it's also a lot of trade for rockets, trafficking, human trafficking, drugs. So all of this stuff goes through there. That's Hartman. He's got a sucking chest wound, and we're going to try to stop the bleeding and get some air in there. I think one of the ways that we used to do it was, one of the ways you can tell where the rib cage is, you got to puncture through with an awl. It's a metal straw, basically. It's tiny, it's thin, it's thicker than a needle, but, you know, blood has to go through there because there's going to be blood in it. But anyway, you try to find that rib cage. I think if you put your arm like this, you can kind of feel the top of the rib cage, and then you go through the middle or two of your ribs right into the lung. And then you'll start hearing air come out and bubbles come out with the blood. So that's one way, if you get shot through the lung, one way to get air in there. So that's pretty gross. So here we are tying up Yaz. He's going to be medevaced out of there. And the real key for the corpsman or the SARC or the lead medical people in this point is getting the body up safely, because a lot of footage, and including mine, you'll see when we're medevacing people, the person getting medevaced starts spinning around like crazy, and it's super dangerous. I mean, you basically turn somebody into a milkshake. And yeah, so we're going back, talking to Hartman there, making sure he's okay. We got the blood stopped. I think somebody who stopped it. There he is. We're all trying to make it serious, but we all know it's not serious. It's not life and death, and if we fail, we just do it again. That's not a big deal. So they won't let us just skate through it, though. And we would practice this quite a bit in our warehouse. We practice every day for weeks on, you know, just how to tape up, you know, a cut. You know, what happens when you get your guts are falling out? What would you do there? Well, what you do is you take a bunch of gauze, you make a wet taco out of it, out of the gauze. You know, you pour gauze, and then you taco the stomach meat, and you just kind of wrap it up from there. But, you know, not much you can do. You don't push it back into the person's body, so you've got to make a gauze taco. You can see the water there is not too bad. It's pretty easy. There are not too many swells. We're not rocking around too much. We tied up the boats together. That's good. It means, you know, you got a bigger platform. I remember distinctly thinking that, wow, we get paid to do this. We get paid to learn this stuff, and, you know, because it's so valuable. So it is really cool. It's not super sexy. It's not super fun, but to be that person on a battlefield, or even on a, you know, in Los Angeles, to be somebody that can see, you know, diagnose people, know quickly how to get somebody fixed up or patched up in it, you know, before they die. That's a huge skill. It's like a, you know, it's undefeated skill, really. You know, I remember, you know, you watch old movies and they're always asking somebody on the plane that got stabbed or something, you know, did anybody know a doctor? Well, the question should be, is anybody served in the military? Because they've probably gone through some pretty strenuous training when it comes to medical stuff. Not saying it's as strenuous as, like, you know, medical school where you're working at the VA patching those guys up, but it's still, it's up there. And we have a guy that he was qualified up to like field surgery, so he could perform minor surgeries in the field if he had to. And there's various levels of this. TCCC, it's called Tactical Combat Casualty Care, I think it's called TCCC, and yeah, it's super valuable skills to have. Of all the things that I learned in the military, there's a lot of parlor tricks for quartermasters. We learn how to, if you're on the beach, we could tell you how many minutes left till the sun goes down. It's a cool trick. But when it comes to knowing how to patch somebody up and not having the nerves, or being able to store away the nerves while you're fixing somebody, that is an invaluable skill. So I'm glad I learned that more than anything else in the United States military's medical stuff. One of the Marines we worked with, he was in Afghanistan and had to make a tourniquet out of gauze and the barrel of a .50 caliber. So, because they had nothing around, it was like flat desert, it was just rocks and weeds, and they had gauze and they had an extra barrel, so they used the barrel to tie it down on a leg, I think. So, that's the kind of person you want around you, I think. So we take the antennas down and strap everything down. We're doing a FOD walk down. We're taking and giving each other trash, making sure there's nothing there. FOD walk down happens, stuff can get sucked up into the bird and blow it up. So, we're tightening everything down before the medevac happens. All right, well, that's about it for today's video. This is TCCC, Tactical Combat Casualty Care with Assault Craft Unit 1. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to, check out my science channel. It's my new project. It's my favorite project. It's me and my mom talking about animals. And our latest video is about narwhals. And they're pretty cool. You should check it out. See you later.